Happy New Year to you and welcome to Stamp Around UK. My name's Esther at Stampin Star Creations and you've joined me for the January theme of winter birthdays. So I'll be using a few stamp sets in this video, the Forever Fern stamp set and swirly frames, and I introduce oval occasions which comes in a bit later. So I'm starting off with a piece of Whisper White cardstock and I'll be using this lovely decorative gold foil paper and I'm going to be using it as a stencil today. Before we get started, I need to punch out a couple of circles using a post-it note. And I've got a couple of post-it notes here and I'm using the 2 1/4 inch circle punch to cut through both. This just helps it to go through the punch and also means it saves time later if you've got a couple of circles on the go. So I'm going to lay this down just under halfway and slightly to the left of my project. Then laying down the foil side up. So the reason why I do this is that if you use ink, you can easily rub it off afterwards. So using my new stampinup blender brush, I'm tapping and rubbing into the ink to pick up the ink onto my brush and then just rubbing off the excess so you don't get a really strong colour coming through onto your paper as soon as you apply it. So very gently pinching in between my thumb and fingers and holding down the foil sheet. This is quite tricky because the leaves are going in different directions. You are more likely to scratch it or to scrape it with the brush. So just go very gently with the leaves and try and go in the same directions. And I'm just gently brushing around the edges, paying particular attention to around the circle area. And then you've got this gorgeous stencil effect with the leaves, leaving that negative space behind. And then lifting up the circle, you've also got that nice space in the centre for a focal point. So using Misty Moonlight and what I call the sort of more bamboo leaf, I'm going to stamp that in the centre and overlapping the circle deliberately. And then using Seaside Spray and coming in with what I like to call the more berry, kind of cottony stamp. Now I do have, unfortunately, some sort of purple or red that I've used before, so it comes through on the image, but I carry on regardless. So I've carefully fussy cut this out. So you can die cut these shapes out, but I decided to fussy cut to get a closer edge for what I wanted to work with. With my other image, I did actually die cut it first and then cut around some of the edges, but actually this side doesn't overlap. So whichever image overlapped the circle is what I needed to cover. I'm using the largest circle from the swirly frames and coming in again with the Misty Moonlight ink and then just hovering to get the right position roughly around those twigs and around my masked area. So as you can see, it didn't really affect that particular stamp, but this one means that it shines through and the leaf goes on top of the circle, which is what I was looking for. So to make this look a little bit more wintry, I use this splatter stamp from the same set, Forever Fern, and I'm going in with Seaside Spray and creating a row of splats just down that left edge. I wanted it to have quite a sort of modern look to this card. Coming in with Crumb Cake and the matching dies that go with the Forever Fern stamp set and using this lovely sprig from the die set. And I'm adding a glue dot in the centre and I'm rolling it up so that it will fit in the middle of those twigs. Grabbing my lovely glitter star and I'm wrapping the centre round because I don't want the long tag hanging off of it, so I'm just snipping that away and so that sits in the middle of my sprig. Then I wanted to add some of our lovely tulle polka dot ribbon, which is one of my faves, and just adding some tear and tape to the back, and then you just stretch it across adhere it to the other side, and then you can just snip off the excess. So by doing this, I'm creating another line across that bottom centre of the card. So I come to glue my sprig, and for whatever reason it goes and it drops, but thankfully it's butter side up, so I thought I'd leave that boo-boo in for you to see. So thankfully I managed to save it, and then just go ahead and adhere that to my card. So I'm bringing in oval occasions. I liked the happy birthday sentiment, and the stars caught my eye. So I decided to make sure I get the happy birthday in there, because it is supposed to be a winter birthday card. And then my star has fallen off the thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and snip the excess off my thread and find a way of adhering that later. So I'm going to go back in with the stars and finish my stamping off first using the Misty Moonlight ink. And again, just following that row that I've done with the splatters. So here, snipping off the excess and trying to think about how I'm going to glue this little star back on. I was a little bit concerned, because it has got a lot of glitter on it, that it might not just stick with one glue dot. So I am going to use the glue dots, because I thought this would be easier than tape. And the glue dots are quite strong. So I decided to put a glue dot onto my card as well, so you've got a kind of double adhering happening. I give it a good press down, and it seems to have stayed really well and not likely to flick off. So bringing in some embellishments to finish off this card, and these are some retired embellishments. I tend to hold on to any retired embellishments and ribbons, because their colours are matching and I can always use them. It's nice to mix and match. Here's the new in colours with those lovely coloured embellishments. And again, just sticking to that row along the left side so that your eye gets drawn to the different areas, and just to highlight that. And then these lovely pearly elements as well. Then I couldn't resist, because I spotted some sequins. Again, these are now retired, but these just help to ground the colours after using the blues and the frosty colour. And I've added a few sequins. Then more is more sometimes. I kept adding more to this card. I just wanted to draw your eye into the centre of the card even more by brushing around the edges. Now, the joy of these blending brushes is I could easily go over my embellishments, and it didn't stop me adding the colour and laying the colour down onto my card. So going in with crumb cake and just brushing around the edges. Then I thought, oh, it'd be nice to incorporate a bit more silver. So I'm grabbing out our silver foil paper and cutting this down. So it's got a tiny border around my layer. And then I just cut out the centre. I like doing this because it saves on bulk. You've got all that middle bit of the silver card to use on another project. So you're left with this frame that you can go ahead and stick down and then add on another layer. So just to recap, Misty Moonlight, Seaside Spray and Crumb Cake were the inks I used. The lovely gold foil decorative paper. The dies which were matching for the Forever Fern stamp set. The Forever Fern stamp set, swirly frames and oval occasions for the happy birthday and the stars. And there's today's card. Thank you so much for watching along. Please thumbs up if you liked today's project. Do leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought of the card. And I think it's quite masculine, so I avoided putting Wink Stella on it, although I was so close to giving it a good old splatter. You can shop with me at stampinstarcreations.co.uk. Please follow along with the hop and find out what all the other UK demonstrators have been up to under the theme Winter Birthdays. Thank you for watching.